Hello and welcome back to Talk of the Town. Yes, this one has been a long time coming. Sorry that we've been away for a little while. Obviously, Egg, who's not here today, he's up in Hollywood at St James's Park, witnessing Exeter. Hopefully, do the Great Escape at Exmouth Town a few years ago. Albeit this Great Escape entirely self-inflicted. We do have a familiar face here in Tommy. How are you, Tommy?
Very well, thank you, Nathan. Very well. Thank you again for having me. Very much appreciate it.
Obviously, you've been helping out a bit with the media, but you've not just been helping out with the media. Obviously, we gave a massive thank you to all our volunteers recently, and you've had the experience now, one of the maybe toughest stewards in the Complete Infrastructure Stadium's history against
Honestly,
Town.
It was utterly preventative policing. There was no drama on the day, no trouble, despite the absolute lunatics that came down from. No, they were great. There was no issues whatsoever. It was great to have both the experience this season as a volunteer, not only doing some of the media stuff alongside you, but throwing on a high vis vest on the weekend, answering a few questions. Not that there was many, but no, it's been great. Yeah, really good.
No, brilliant. And just even thank you for that, and thanks you to everyone who's volunteered for the club this season. It's really, really appreciated, and it makes what this experience is at Exmouth Town, and so many people come back for a reason. I think it's definitely the volunteers, huge part of it. Couple little things that we've got coming up outside of the football. Obviously, let's start with the football because only 2 games, not too much. We have got obviously this Saturday home against Winchester City. That will be a tough game, as unfortunately all of our last sort of 6 or 7, 8 games have been. And then we are away to Shaftesbury. Obviously, you don't want to miss that, on the biggest clubs in the Southern League Division 1 South. So it'd be a really fun one. Hopefully, fill up the coach and maybe prepare ourselves for a little giant killing in Dorset. We'll have to see. Obviously, I've been there a few times already this season. I had a bit of the FA Cup and then the league as well. But outside of that, the week after the final, 2 weeks after the final game of the season, we have the Exmouth Town Music Extravaganza on the 8th and 9th of May 2026. DJ Dave has been putting that one together. Dave Clark, one of those fantastic people at the club. The tickets are available. I think you can get them online, and there's a link on a poster. If you ask, we can send it to you as well. We've got Friday and Saturday weekend ticket, £10. So it's a pretty much a bargain if you want to get some music. Hopefully the weather's going to be on our side for that, and there's a lot of great bands. You've got DJs, and you've got people like Glyn Wilcox, the Salads, the Embezzlers. So that's going to be a great event, as well as a barbecue too, and who can turn down some food on a summer's day, music in the background. We also have the awards night, the presentation night. That is on the 15th of May, which I believe is a Friday, and runs from 7 p.m. till midnight. And that will have free entry, free food, and a disco for those willing to stay. So if you want to cut some shapes with some of the players, that will be your opportunity to do so. And obviously, congratulate everyone on a fantastic season and give out some awards for those who have deserved it. All we're going to do here, obviously, the season has come to it, or is coming to an end. As you see in this, obviously, we are on the penultimate fixture. We've not been too consistent with the podcast recently, but if you spotted a cut there, because my mic went out. we are hoping to be a bit more consistent with it next season. And obviously, we are just going to do a big sort of grand recap of what this season has been and how we found it and enjoyed it. So, Tommy, as someone who's probably been to more games than me in 2026, how have you found the second half of the season?
It's been fine, hasn't it? I mean, it's been an absolute sort of roller coaster of results, up and downs here and there. I mean, we did put a bit of a string of results together, but then we seem to go on a string of losses. But, I think that's the life of Exmouth Town at the moment. And I think we're where we should be. I spoke amongst the terraces. We are the best of the rest, I think, this season. I mean, playoffs is always a huge achievement. And achieving that last season, I think everyone's hopes were really high. We were going to emulate the success of the previous season. However, I think we're in an absolutely brilliant spot. Finished top 10 in the league. I don't think we can really ask for much more. I think we've done fantastically well to maintain the league position that we have, and still to be within those sort of last 5 to 6 games. I know it would have been a big ask, but still to mathematically be in with a shout at the playoffs, I think is a fantastic achievement.
And yeah, and agree. And I remember at the start of this, me and Egg were talking about what would be a good season for Exmouth, and we said consolidation, but at a higher level than before. We're not just consolidating as a team in the Southern Division 1 South. We are talking about consolidating as a team that is a good side, a side that really belongs and isn't just scraping or surviving. And we did that, and you know, it wasn't without its ups and downs. Obviously, especially reaction losing Dave Pearce, which was a big loss, and obviously glad to see that they were able to get a win last week at Bridgewater, and he's been doing a good job there. But we're, you know, obviously that was a loss to Exmouth, and Kevin has done a great job, and Ollie and Martin Rice stepping up, as well as Andy Rawlins as well. So it's been great to see that as well. And you know, look, there was a little bit of a run we went on recently, which probably not been the most fun. We won't spend too much time on that, but you know, recovering from that, a draw against the league champions, one of the best teams to have played statistically at this level, on 101 points, something like that.
They're up around the 100-point mark now. I think they will achieve it by the end of the season. Yeah,
which is how good they've been, and we were able to hold them to a draw, and without them really having you didn't leave that game thinking that they deserved anything more than that. So really, really decent season, I would say, and you know,
I would wholeheartedly agree. I think we've started to become a side that teams fear against now as well. I think there was that period of time, obviously you go through it when you come up through promotion, and then we had the season with the Great Escape, etc., like that. But now we've really built on the successes that we've had with staying up, and obviously the playoffs was a fantastic run. But for this season, I think certainly we go into games now and we start games quite strongly and things. You know, we're really pushing from the off and becoming a side that people are not necessarily thinking they're going to be on the front foot for the whole game. We are now one of the front foot teams in the league. I think we are one of the ones that are, again, next season. I mean, I'm sure we'll come on to it, where we're going to be next season. But if we could emulate the successes that we've had this season, and who knows, maybe we could push on. You don't know the strength of the league just yet. I mean, we're, as I say, a side to be feared now, I think, in the Southern League.
No, I'd agree. So going on to the positives of this season, some of those highlights of the year for you, Tommy, is there a game in particular that stands out to you as like the best game? We had that Yate one last year that was really good fun. What was the game this season that stood out to you the most?
For me, I mean, Bideford, I think it was Bideford at home, wasn't it, where we won 5-3? That was a fantastic result. For me, it's a little bit personal. I think the Bristol Manor Farm games, both games where we pretty much dominated both games. I really enjoy going to Bristol Manor Farm away. I find it quite a quirky little ground to visit. You know, I always, people who might know me know that occasionally I come with my father, and he loves going to Bristol Manor Farm and have a little look around, and we dominated that game. That was probably one of my favourite days out this year, watching Exmouth, and it's always good because I think a few of the fans stay behind afterwards and you can really mingle in amongst it. And I think that's part of being part of Exmouth, isn't it? It's not just the on-field results, it's having a good laugh afterwards in the bar or having a good cup of tea on the terraces with the guys that are there. So we always take a good co-op up to Bristol Manor Farm. So if I'm going to pick one game that was a real highlight for me this season, it would be away to Bristol Manor Farm, which is a 3-0 win. Yeah, I really enjoyed that day.
Yes, yeah. And I mean, that felt good as well after the previous 2 years of losing last minute twice in a row. As much as the great people of Bristol Manor Farm have been always really good to us, the football hasn't always been so kind. So to get that sort of dominant win,
it's a difficult place to go as well. I mean, it's a quirky little stadium, but you know, it's right on the edge and it's quite windy. It's quite right on the edge of the river. It's quite a tight, compact ground. I remember Sam Morecambe taking a corner where he kind of had to walk uphill to take the corner, which is brilliant. I love the quirkiness of it, but it is a difficult place to go. So yeah, to really go there and dominate a game was, as you say, it's a real fresh change from the previous 2 seasons. So yeah, really good.
I think that Bideford one for me is up there in terms of highlights, because the comeback as well, being I think we're 3-1 down, and to go on to win that 5-3, that was something special. Obviously, that the Shaftesbury win after all the FA Cup turmoil, you know, the last minute goal that cost us that place, and that a great goal. If you're talking about goals of the season, it's probably up there. And then that in turn injuring Aaron Deering, and then they coming over to our place, beating us. And you know, and the whole, you know, that there was a bit of a reaction to that from the Shaftesbury, massive. And then we obviously then being able to sort of beat them again when that game actually had a little bit, not needle, that's too far, but it had a bit of meaning to it. It was like, yeah, no, we beat you there, you know, and so that felt nice, especially because Shaftesbury are a really good team, and you know their team is you know, players like Santos, who is, you know, I remember him at Yeovil, and Toby Holmes, who was an excellent striker for Taunton. You know, some really good players in that team, and we beat them, and that was really the best run of the season. I think that early on run, it was nice to get out of the first round of the FA Cup or the first preliminary round. We don't often do that, So that was cool to beat Buckland and just to get through it. Obviously, we'd end up losing out to Shaftesbury, but that was probably a highlight for me. We won't spend too long on low lights, but I will say Falmouth away this season was
Falmouth away.
not fun.
If I was going to say, I wouldn't necessarily say it was a low light because as a neutral, I'm sure you would have absolutely loved going to the game. But the Melksham game that finished 9-9, needed the 100th minute, stunning header from the target man.
In our
I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but trying to, I'll always remember it because trying to give you the reporting of that as you were at the Exeter City game that day and messaging you, oh, there's been a red card. There's been another red card. There's been another red card. And finally, there's been another red card. I'll always remember that day. So it did turn out to be a bit of a low light, but a thrilling game nonetheless.
Yeah, no, a unique one, especially in our own kit. I mean, that's insulting. I think if you wear our own kit, you've got to give us a free goal or something. But no, the Falmouth one was bad. I fought to get the day off work, so I always try and cover one midweek because work doesn't really allow me to get to anywhere bar Exmouth afterwards. And I fought to get that day off. Falmouth away. And then we actually played all right in the first half. We went 1-0 down, but we was playing all right. And then second half, it just all went wrong. And all of a sudden, it was all of a sudden we were 5-0 down. Like it was just all of a sudden we were losing 5-0. And I think I try, obviously, because I'm commentating those ones, I try not to get annoyed with what I'm seeing because unfortunately I'm at a point where I do care what happens on the pitch. And I tried not to, but I got a bit annoyed watching that game. Like, God, we're 5-0 down, man. Come on. And then I started getting a bit ill after the game. Oh, nightmare. That was a low light, but I think we're gonna get the chance to avenge it next season. It looks like Falmouth are gonna stay up, and obviously the league this season has been interesting. A lot of a surprise package in Portishead, which maybe wasn't so surprised to you, Tommy, but maybe some others, especially who've been to the ground.
Yeah. I did. I mean, that sounds very egotistical and boasting, but I did call that Portishead were going to be good this season. To be fair, though, you did say to me on the previous edition of this podcast that Frome were going to take the league by storm. I think you said that, and they have. Okay. So, I mean, I don't think that was too much of a surprise. But Portishead, I think, have been a very strong team, and going to Portishead was obviously, again, and we won't go back on lowlights. That was a difficult result. Down to 10 men quite early on, eventually finishing 5-0. But the strength of that side, I wasn't very surprised that they ended up finishing, or they're going to end up finishing within at least the playoffs. And I think there is quite a few standout teams this season that have really pushed this division in terms of strength, and thus us finishing the best of the rest, just to really tie off, I suppose, the whole season, isn't going to be a bad thing because there's 6 or 7 sides there that really do deserve to be pushing for playoffs and really do deserve to be pushing for the title. Us to finish just below that, I think, is an achievement in itself.
That's it, and then really Malvern as well, that great side.
Yeah,
I'll be glad, to be honest. I like Malvern, but I'll be glad to see the back of them because they are always just so good whenever we play them. And then, so it'd be nice just to have a break from knowing that we've got to travel 2.5 hours to get beat. Winchester, obviously that's our next game, and Bishop's Cleeve. There's a little bit of playoff race still to come. Shaftesbury, game in hand, 3 points off, and a better goal difference than Bishop's Cleeve, who lost against Swindon Supermarine yesterday, as yesterday as it's being recorded. And we are going to lose a few teams, obviously. Sad to see with Tavistock. Hope we can see them bounce back. Bashley, who've had a really good run as of late, but it was too little, too late. That would be a shame to see them go. Always treated us really, really well up there. And then it's really it's sort of a fight between Brixham, Willand, and Melksham for those final.
As we speak right now, Brixham are 0-0. So it is going to be a real tight one for Brixham, Willand, and Melksham down the bottom end. I think Falmouth and mathematically is pretty safe now, but it's going to be a real tight battle, and it'll be a shame to lose Brixham and Willand because that's 2 lovely trips. I mean, it'll be a shame to lose Melksham, but shorter trips for us. And that was another, I suppose, if we want to talk about reviews of the season and highlights, popping down to Brixham, the fish and chips on the seafront was stunning. So, and then the hospitality I received to get some extra chips in the class, because I left about 3 stone heavier after having the cake at halftime as well. So yeah, that was a wonderful.
Well, we'll miss Brixham. Willand as well, really nice. There was something happened at Willand. They were really good at getting it sorted. So no, we'd be sad to lose either of those teams. But moving back to Exmouth and looking back to our season and maybe look at some of the individuals. Obviously, the votes are now in for fan player of the season. We're going to find that one out, I believe, at the Winchester game. Who the fans player of the season was. We don't have to say who we voted for. I don't mind. But who would, just to start with, who were those contenders for you? Because as I remember, as I was told, it was I think it was a 4-man race, but I don't know the 4 men in the race, but I heard it was very close when I last spoke to Colin.
Yeah, it's difficult to say because I don't want to highlight one particular individual, but I think you always got to start with the goalkeeper. I think Aaron Deering has a very solid season. He's a fantastic shot stopper. Obviously, spent some time out injured, and Chrissy Wright coming in to replace him as again Mr. Reliable. He's just coming in and filling in a great spot. So it's difficult to say that Aaron Deering will be a player of the season in that sense. But had he played every single game, maybe an opportunity for him to be player of the season, I suppose. Aaron Denny, again, another very, very reliable midfielder, epitomizes a box-to-box midfielder, in my opinion. And I laugh every time I watch him play because 1 second he'll be having a shot on target and the next minute he'll be nicking the ball off someone in defensive box. So he is literally the most box-to-box midfielder you'll ever see in this league, I think. Matty Wright, talisman. I think it's difficult to look past a striker that scores as many goals as he has, but he lifts the team as well, particularly when he's really on for a game. I think he's so vocal and such a leader on the pitch that he really turns it. When Matt Wright's playing well, the whole team's going to be playing well, I think. And then Mike Landricum at the back. I mean, that's just the most reliable centre-back I think you can ask for in this league. I think he's been partnered very well by those who've come in. I know Josh Cairns kind of played across the back four pretty much all season. Morecambe, Rossi Edwards, they've all played terrifically at the back there. Even Knowlesy's dropped in a few times. Jacob Shaw, the youngster, coming in. But Landricum, for me, is the most reliable captain you can ask for in this league. If you're going to really push me, I suppose Mike Landricum would be the name I'd put on the voting slip. But there's quite a few candidates you could have asked for this season.
Yeah, it's weird to say. Obviously, we wouldn't go out and be like, "Well, this player's had a bad season," but genuinely, no one has.
Yeah.
Like it feels like everyone has had like a pretty good season. It feels like. I mean, Sam Morecambe, if without his deliveries, would probably be about 10 goals less, and obviously that incredible goal against Willand as well.
Oh, you talk about goal of the season. Yeah, I mean, that has to be goal
up
of the season.
there. It's up there for sure. And then you've got even like Cal Shipton has been really good in midfield, and Ethan Slater has, his improvement over the years has been, incredible. I think he had a bad injury. I can't remember if that was last season or this season, but obviously he's been absent for the last few weeks. But he's, when he's fit, he's someone that you expect to see play. And then that, goes to show his level of improvement. And really, it's even Ben Steer, he's obviously a player that, can go hot and cold, but is generally, when he's on, and he's a really tough player to deal with. And so a lot of players have had a really good season. I did go Matt Wright on mine because, again, the amount of goals he scored, and especially as it felt like maybe goals was a little bit of an issue for the team this year, to be honest. Struggling to sort of have someone else other than him score. And so he really got us through a lot of those games, and he was excellent. But Mike Landricum, close second. If Joe Belson hadn't had the long injury, he's up there as well. I mean, I don't think there's a better right back in the league. So there's a lot of really great performances this season. It'll be interesting, as I know it's very tight, so we will have to see when push comes to shove who gets voted that player of the season, sports player of the season. I'm not sure if it gets found out on Saturday or it gets found out at the awards night. I cannot remember, but we will see. And speaking of goal of the season, we mentioned that Sam Morecambe strike against Willand. Is that your goal of the season?
Has to be. For me, it has to be. I love watching a free kick just absolutely belted. To be honest, it was a fantastic strike. Again, another fantastic free kick that I remember off the top of my head. I think Knowlesy bent went in and down at Tavistock.
Yes.
And that was But Sam Morgan's free kick, it was Willand, wasn't it? For me, off the top of my head. Not that I've watched every single goal back this season, but I think Sam Morecambe's is the one that really stands out. A good goal if it stands out and you can remember it. So.
Yeah, that's got to be up there as well. I mean, Knowlesy's free kick against Hartbury as well. And then Aaron Denny's goal against Frome, which I wish the VO was working when we had it, where it's one that it will be on the goal of the season. I'll track down a clip by hook or by crook, but we'll get that one out there because that was a hell of a goal. I'm struggling I can't remember exactly what it was like. It was a volley. I think he's flicked it and then volleyed it back of the net against Frome, and that was a great goal. And to be honest, a bit of a collector's item in terms of Aaron Denny goals.
Well, we had, I suppose,
as Simon will proudly tell you.
Yeah. I think I wouldn't necessarily call it a collector's item because he does bag a couple every now and again, but it was nice to see Mike Landricum get a goal on the weekend as well. And it was a finish. I mean, it hit right in the top of the net. I mean, it was as you say, it wouldn't be a collector's item. He does occasionally bag a couple, but I think it was a great finish, top corner. Yeah.
And Mike scored one of the best goals last season as well. That striking pre-season against Poole from about 35 yards out. So he does have it in him, and we've seen it a couple of times when he gets it right back. You know, he's still got a bit over there. Still got a bit over for sure. But no, so we've got that, and we will be doing a goal of the season out on social. So if you guys have your opinion, yours obviously didn't help. We had a VO injury for about 2 months, so it might be a bit longer than anticipated. And we'll also do a little moment of the season or game of the season as well for you guys. But I think overall we can look back on this season as a good one, a solid one, an improvement. Even though we finished lower, it's that that sense of belonging and being in the league and really being established. And next season, it could be interesting. There's still some positions up for grabs. Obviously, the stuff that's happened in the Western League, we don't quite know who's coming up. There's been rumours about voluntary relegations. We won't go into that, but apparently there's been 1 or 2 sides maybe that are looking at that, one especially. And obviously the teams coming down from the Southern League, the Southern Premier League. I mean, Dorchester away, possibly. Weymouth away, possibly. Tiverton away, definitely. Not sure how much of, but and then also Hungerford away, which is long, but again, a club that have been at that higher level for a number of years now. So there's a couple really exciting games next season.
I think it's different as well. It gives you something different and new grounds to go to. I mean, I'm not necessarily call myself a ground hopper, but it's nice to visit these new places and nice to go to, you know, as I mentioned earlier about Bristol Manor Farm being a quirky little ground. It'd be great to go down to Weymouth. Great to go up to Dorchester, I suppose. It'll be fantastic visits. And I think what's great as well, I mean, it's never nice to see good clubs like Weymouth and Dorchester and Hungerford get relegated, whoever it might be. But it's terrific home games that we can have as well. Because I'm expecting that Weymouth are going to bring a couple hundred, Hungerford, Dorchester, they're going to bring a couple of hundred fans. I might even have to put a Viz vest back on and make sure that they don't kick off, you know, bit of preventative policing. But it'll be interesting to see who comes down. Obviously, it's never nice to see teams get relegated, but it is something new and something novel and teams that we can visit.
Yeah, just looking at that table, there's still, I mean, it really, Dorchester, Hungerford, Tivy, you're needing almost a miracle for Dorchester Hungerford are officially relegated. Dorchester will need a bit of a miracle, but, you know, Taunton aren't safe yet. And then you've got sort of the Southern League Division 1 South collection of Evesham, Yate and Wimborne, which, you know, to be honest, as someone who wants to go to new grounds, I'm sort of hoping that they will manage to avoid the drop because Evesham's very far away and Yate are quite good. And then Wimborne, well, I mean, actually, we always did all right at Wimborne. Never got to Wimborne. It was always on a Tuesday. So maybe if they were to go down, that would be interesting. I know, obviously, Tim Sills is a good friend of Kevin's. But, yeah, so plenty to look forward to. Next season, obviously, we don't know what the team's going to look like. We don't know who's going to join, who's going to leave, what anything's going to be. But early on, what would be your hopes for next season?
I mean, a playoff push would be fantastic. I mean, if we could emulate the sort of the strength of the side and emulate the results that we've had this season, I think it'd be terrific. I think I might have mentioned right at the very beginning of this podcast that still being within mathematically possible to qualify for the playoffs within the sort of last 5 games is a terrific season. I think teams, as I say, are going to start to fear us now. So maybe if we could make it, instead of it being the last 5 games, the last couple of games, if we're still within that mathematical chance of sneaking a playoff spot would be fantastic. Obviously, the dream would be a playoff spot. I think if you're going to give a bronze medal, top 10, a silver medal, let's match this season, and a gold medal would be just sneaking into those playoffs.
No, I like that. Yeah, I think as close to the playoffs as possible would be what we're hoping for. Obviously, we don't know what's going to happen, so the mood could change, the opinion could change, but I think more of the same is definitely what we're hoping for. And again, just a great job. Well done to all the team. Well done to the staff as well. It's not been easy. Thank you to Dave. Thank you to Kev, who's, you know, Dave, even though, you know, obviously not being there the whole season. And obviously Kev, Ollie and Martin Rice stepping up, you know, big time as well. And Kevin Hill, I mean, you see the work he puts in. I mean, it's unbelievable, the job that he does. And, you know, not everyone might see it, you know, on the pitch. You can always just, football's a game of opinions, but I mean, that man is so dedicated, and you know,
fundamentally, I've never seen a manager, I mean, carry so many, like he's carrying the sack of balls around. Everything he does everything. You know, he's constantly running back and forth. I mean, I was sat down after the game on Saturday against Froome, and he was back and forth between those changing rooms, whether he was chucking cones in some storage room or dragging the balls out from somewhere. You know, I'm sure he ended up talking to you for a little while as well. So it's all these different things that he's doing that he's constantly buzzing. The man never sits down. Honestly,
that's it. Honestly, no, honestly, it's true. And so massive thank you to him for all the work he's put in. And we'll thank everyone really. All the bar staff. Obviously, Elaine Fields now left the club in that role in the mainstay. I know she's still around, and she's such a fantastic person for this football club. And obviously, all the staff, all the directors, all the incredible sponsors we've had, too many to name. And that shout out to Len Jones for all of that as well. He's done a real great job as the commercial manager. All the people like Martin Young, Joe Young. I mean, have you met two nicer people? It's two great stewards of this football club. Adrian Sampson, or Sam as we know him, done a great job. I think they were. I should have remembered what they were awarded something at some point this season. I wish I could remember, but it was very nice. I think it was presented to them at the end of one of the games, and so they do a great job on obviously arranging the coaches as well, the minibuses for the fans, and obviously last and not least, thank you to all the fans who have been around this season, travelled far and wide across the southern hemisphere. Some of that might not feel very southwest or southern at all, but you guys have been there every step of the way. So thank you so much from myself on the socials. Tommy, as you become more sort of embedded in Exmouth Town, how have you found
I think
how good
you nail it on the head when you say about the volunteers and the people like Martin Young and Joe Young and Sam and all the fans across the board that have literally, it's been the past 2 or 3 years that I've really become involved in this club, and that's what's made it for me. I mean, the team's fantastic on the pitch, but it's everything off the pitch that's really made me feel embedded and welcomed, and why I wanted to keep coming back to Exmouth Town. I remember my first introduction was with Martin Young and Martin. So many Martins. I mean, even eggs are Martins. So many Martins around, but with two Martins at first, and then all of a sudden this love for the club flourished, and that was all to do with the homely kind of atmosphere. And we talk about it all the time, how personal the environment is at Exmouth Town, and even down to the little things like getting your mug of tea at half time just feels like a little personal touch that they do. So yeah, basically just it's sort of a thank you from me, but I think every fan would say thank you for everything that the volunteers do to make it such a homely environment and such a nice place to be on a Saturday afternoon, I suppose.
That's it. And just from us as a media team, it's Tommy now is a part of. Thank you to you, Tommy. Thank you to Lee, who's been a part of this as well. Thank you to Egg, obviously, for all the work he did earlier in the season too. It's all really appreciated. I can apologise for my end. I've not been able to get to as many games this season, but thank you everyone for understanding that. And hopefully next season I'll be at a few more, especially the away ones. I've tried my best to get to the away ones, and hopefully we're going to bring the Exmouth Town Live, the ETFC Live back. It'll be back for the Shaftesbury game, and then hopefully we'll see what's happening next season. But I hope I can bring it back, and hopefully I can get a new mic. But that's very much a financial thing on my end. But we will see, and I appreciate everyone for all the kind messages and words through the season when I'm at the game. So appreciate that. And yeah, so we will be back at some point in pre-season, I imagine, for the next episode. We'll have the match highlights up, hopefully by the time this is recorded, including the interview with Kev. I'll try and do something slightly longer form after the Shaftesbury game with him to talk about this season. And then, it's pretty much the awards night, it's the music festival, and we've got something else on top of my head. I cannot remember it, which is great when you're trying to wrap something up. What was it? What is it? What have we got at the end of this?
Awards night, DJ, music festival.
I'm going to cut this bit out. There was something I was going to say and I forgot.
There's usually a bingo night at some point.
Yeah, bingo, maybe darts as well. I should have looked that before. What the fuck? There was something I was thinking of.
I can't remember what you said now.
Nah, fuck it. I'll wrap that. I'll cut this bit out and then wrap it up. Right, 2 seconds. So we'll be hoping to bring back that at the end of the season after the Shaftesbury game. The interview with Kev, and then a longer form one that is, and then we have got plenty more stuff coming throughout the off season. Obviously, that's it. In a few weeks' time, we'll hopefully have our pre-season schedule after the season ends. I know a couple of people have been asking about that. That is a case of sort of waiting and seeing. Unfortunately, it will be when everything is sorted, all our ducks in a row, so to speak. So that will be when you see that, and then obviously you will probably be extremely late fixture release day that the Southern League like to do. So we will have a lot coming up, a lot to look forward to. Hopefully, a lot of good news, a lot of good times. Remember the Exmouth Town Music Extravaganza and the awards night. But thank you so much for joining us throughout the season. We've appreciated your support and the fact you are listening to this. Remember, you can subscribe to the Exmouth Town channel. Let's push that a little bit. Let's get our subscribers up. Like the video too. I know it helps on the old algorithm as well. I'm social media here, so trying to get that through Twitter and Facebook. We're also on as
like
well.
And subscribe.
Like and subscribe and get the notification bell on.
Hit the bell
that's
button.
what you've got to do. But thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate that, and we will see you next time.